sapeurs-pompiers, plusieurs ambulances. Alors je sais pas s'il y a des blessés. Vous avez peut-être plus d'infos que moi sur le net. Moi je peux que retransmettre. Là j'ai des policiers. Est-ce que vous avez tous entendu? Une fusillade. They're shooting again. There's people from the army, policemen.
The following report contains some graphic images.
Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Qu'est-ce qui se passe? S'il vous plaît, qu'est-ce qui se passe? Ah, part. Donc on a entendu comme des pétards. Bon, enfin, on a cru que c'était des pétards. On s'est retourné. Et là, on a vu moi, j'ai vu deux jeunes, pas plus de 25 ans, avec des kalachnikovs. Ils nous ont demandé de nous coucher. Il y en a un qui faisait toujours comme ça. Donc on s'est tous couchés, toute la salle s'est couchée. Et puis moi, j'étais carrément sous d'autres personnes. Puis ils continuaient à tirer, mais ils s'arrêtaient de temps en temps. Celui que j'ai vu principalement, il était en survêtement noir, avec des traits blancs, il n'avait pas plus de 25 ans, type cheveux bruns, il était assez calme, hein, ça m'a étonné. Et à un moment, je me suis retourné, on se demandait si c'était des balles réelles ou pas, et j'ai vu qu'il tirait sur quelqu'un, donc j'ai compris.
Attention, deuxième explosion, Stade de France. Deuxième explosion, accourez. Barrez-vous. Il y a des attentats, barrez-vous. Tchonos barre. Attends, un instant. Il y a une bombe à l'exploser. Wow, on dirait du Stade de France. Oh là. Il y en a pas une. Wesh, mais je crois qu'elle est morte.
That was Grégoire Filonenko, one of the survivors of Bataclan, who, by the way, is a gardener. Now, this place here is... There's something going on here. People are running. We're going to... Okay. People are running away. We have... Qu'est-ce qui se passe? People are running. People are shooting, maybe. I just heard a shot, but I'm not sure if that's true. Okay, so this is the Place de la République. This is the center of Paris, where... after the Charlie Hebdo massacres, thousands of people gathered. The same was happening here again today. It's amazing that this was allowed to happen because there's still a state of emergency going on. And actually yesterday, the police said that people should be leaving. No, it's people yesterday basically said they should leave, but people have decided to come back. And as you can see, it's calmed down a little bit. We don't know whether that was a scare. We have no idea what exactly was going on, but it seems to have calmed down a little.
Mr. President of the Senate,
La France est en guerre.
Mr. Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, members of the government, ladies and gentlemen, MPs, France is at war. The acts committed on Friday evening in Paris and near the National Stadium are acts of war. They caused no less than 129 dead and many injured. It is an aggression against our country, against its values, against its youth, against its way of life. They have been perpetrated by the army of Daesh because France is a country of freedom, because we are the homeland of the human rights. In this period of an exceptional gravity, I wanted to speak to the parliament in its Congress to show national unity facing such an abominable act, and to answer with determination, with a cool determination that is necessary here to that ugly attack which targeted our country. Our democracy triumphed of far more dangerous opponent than these cowards. Our republic is not threatened by these despicable killers. Our will is to put all the might of the nation to the service of the protection of our citizens. And I know we can rely on the devotion of the army, of the police, and of you, representatives of the nation. You have a sense of duty, and when the circumstances demand it, you have a spirit of sacrifice. The terrorists believe that the free people would be impressed by horror. No such thing. And the French Republic has overcome other obstacles and still here, lively. And those who have attempted anything against us have lost in history, and it will be the same again this time. The French people has fervor, it is valiant, it's got courage, it doesn't give up, and it stands up whenever one of its children is on the ground. Those who wanted to hit France by deliberately attacking innocents are cowards that crowd on an unarmed, shot on an unarmed crowd. So we're not involved in a war of civilization because these murderers do not represent any civilization. We are in a war against jihadist terrorism which threatens the whole world and not just France.
France is hitting back. Warplanes taking off last night to bomb targets in Raqqa, headquarters of so-called Islamic State. The French started bombing Syria 2 months ago. This was their biggest raid so far, a clear response to the attacks in Paris, which President Hollande described as an act of war. Here at the G20 summit, the French foreign minister told me they had no choice.
And is there a danger that this might just look like an act of revenge?
We can't simply let ourselves be attacked so brutally. You saw what happened in Paris without an active response.
The urgent need to confront Islamic State is now forging alliances of necessity. At the last G20 gathering, President Putin was seen by many as a pariah. Here in Turkey, he's much in demand. Our bilateral relations are not in great shape, he told the Prime Minister. We can get things done. Mr. Cameron appears to think so too. Russia and the West no longer quite so polarized.
I mean, the gap has been enormous between those of us who believe Assad should go immediately and those like President Putin who have been supporting him, who continue to support him. I think it has been reduced, and these talks in Vienna between foreign ministers, bringing together everybody, I hope can close the gap still further, but it will need compromise on both sides.
Was that in the air yesterday when Mr. Putin and Barack Obama huddled for over half an hour? Hard to say. There are signs Russia is now focusing more of its military might against Islamic State. The carnage in Paris does appear to have galvanized the leaders here. Syria's long civil war, after all, lies at the heart of the migrant crisis and the wave of terrorism, claiming lives in France, Egypt, Tunisia, Lebanon and Turkey. Leaders seem willing to seize the moment, but there are still more reasons to predict.
I'm Geeta Gurumuthy with BBC World News. This is the scene live in Paris where a major police operation has just concluded. One suspect is confirmed to have died, a woman who blew herself up. There are unconfirmed reports that at least one other suspect was killed. Several police officers have been injured in the raid on an apartment. 7 people have been arrested. Well, the focus of the operation is thought to be this man, Abdelhamid Abaoud, an alleged mastermind of Friday's attacks.
In the small hours of the morning, Saint-Denis again echoed with the sound of gunfire. This, though, was not another attack. It was a pitched battle lasting at least 90 minutes and with several explosions. Across the area, nervous residents filmed through windows, trying to work out what was happening in the streets beyond. The police operation focused on an apartment with at least 5 people inside suspected of involvement in Friday night's massacre. The authorities say a woman in a suicide vest blew herself up at the start of the raid, and another suspect was also killed. At least 3 people have been taken into custody. This woman was in an apartment on the floor below the raid.
There were so many explosions. It was as if the ceiling of the bathroom was going to collapse. I got out of the bathroom. I tried to protect myself, holding my baby tight. We saw bullets, lights, there were explosions. We felt the building shake. There were guys upstairs screaming, "Shoot, shoot."
Another man said the suspects were staying at his home.
Someone asked me to put 2 people up for 3 days, and I did them a favour. It's normal. I don't know where they came from. I don't know anything. If I'd known, do you think I'd have done it?
It's also emerged that police believe this man, Abdelhamid Abaoud, may have been among those in the building. He's suspected of masterminding Friday's attacks and was thought to have been in Syria. Roads around the area are still sealed off, and the security forces remain on high alert. There are reports of several injuries among the scores of police and soldiers who took part in the raid. Several were seen being helped away from the area. But for people in and around Paris, it seems like there may at least be some good news today after so much pain.
The manhunt goes on. French police again raided more than 100 properties. They're still looking for Salah Abdeslam, who took part in the attacks. 2 photos of him have now been released. This car was towed away in northern Paris. Investigators think it was used by the men. And a man who didn't want to be identified said he'd seen men in a car acting suspiciously on the night of the attack.
I saw 4 people in the car. I caught their eyes. They had a look, almost lost, like they were drugged.
New video also emerged today, said to be taken in the place where the men stayed last week. Debris litters the room, including pizza boxes, batteries and syringes. What they were used for is unclear. The attackers seem to have rented an apartment here in this complex in a gritty industrial suburb of Paris, and it's thought the final preparations for the attacks may well have taken place here. But when we talked to residents, they all said they'd seen nothing out of the ordinary. This man, Abdelhamid Abaoud, is believed to have been the mastermind. Now in Syria, he's originally from Belgium, a country which appears to have been the base for the plot. New details are also emerging of how the attackers assembled. Salah Abdeslam, his brother, as well as another man, came from the same Belgian neighbourhood, Molenbeek, as the alleged mastermind. Omar Ismail Mostafa went from Chartres in France through Turkey into Syria before returning for the attack. Sami Amemour came from Paris and went to Syria before attacking the Bataclan theatre. He, like Mostafa, was known to the authorities. Then there's the Syrian passport linked to a suicide bomber. The fingerprints match a person who came from Syria to Greece, posing as a refugee. The name used might be that of a dead Syrian regime soldier. Police released a photo of the man to try to identify him. The fact that some attackers were known to the authorities and so many managed to travel across Europe raises questions, one French security expert told me.
It is evident, while the French intelligence is good, what happened on Friday was a failure. The terrorists are coming from Belgium and France. They are homegrown. We need to block some of the holes in the borders. It is not a national issue. It is spread across Europe.
The challenges may be European, but here in the French capital, security remains tight. The city still on edge as the investigation continues.
And there was gunfire. There were explosions. Sirs, I believe we have some sound and some images to show you of what the scene was like over the last few hours. Let's listen in.
Take a look at some of this dramatic video as we continue to cover the events in Saint-Denis. You can clearly hear gunfire. You can clearly hear detonations. Listen.
It was quite a boom. I mean, the ground shook, and I thought there's something wrong here.
All of a sudden we heard huge gunshots and lots of glass coming through the window.
We were inside the stadium and we heard two big explosions. Give it up.
Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé, monsieur? Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé?
It was a bloodbath, and they shot at us and they reloaded the guns several times, multiple times.
I didn't know what was going on, and they told me that there had been attacks all over Paris, including explosions in near the stadium. So I understood that something big was going on.
Actually, right on the spot where a black Clio car was called into police. We now understand that that car was rented by the 8th suspect currently on the run. You can actually see some of the broken glass here. That's from the car. It's been towed away since, but the car was parked right here. And we're trying to figure out exactly when it was parked here. What's interesting is that this is the 18th arrondissement, the 18th district of Paris. There were no attacks that happened here, but ISIS, when it put out its claim of responsibility, said that there had been an attack here. So now police are trying to piece this together. Why was that car here? Was the suspect here at the 18th arrondissement? Was it something that went wrong? We don't know at this point, but police say they're trying to put the leads together and also trying to figure out where he is right now.
Police were going door to door, Atika?
That's right. They were going door to door in this neighborhood. We saw them actually with a photo showing it to residents and shopkeepers here, asking if they had seen this car when it arrived. We also know that in the cafe behind there, they've asked for some CCTV footage to determine the timeline of events. It's all part of the ongoing investigation, Carol.
Heavy gunfire resounds through the streets. It lasts for at least an hour. This, though, was not another attack. It was a pitched battle between police and terror suspects. There were several explosions. Through their windows, terrified residents watched the police operation unfold. This man was among them. He was woken by what he called a deafening blast. I jumped out of bed, he said, opened the window and put my head outside. The police said, no, shut the window, close it, close it. The police operation focused on an apartment containing at least 5 people thought to be involved in Friday night's massacre. The authorities say a woman in a suicide vest blew herself up as the raid began. Another suspect was also killed. This woman was in the flat below during the raid.
There were so many explosions. It was as if the ceiling of the bathroom was going to collapse. I got out of the bathroom. I tried to protect myself, holding my baby tight. We saw bullets, lights, there were explosions. We felt the building shake. There were guys upstairs screaming, shoot, shoot.
Hours later, one of those inside the apartment who'd been stripped naked was led away. 2 more suspects were taken into custody from inside the flat, and there were other arrests outside the building. Another man came forward overnight saying the property was his home.
Someone asked me to put 2 people up for 3 days, and I did them a favour. It's normal.
Exprimer toute notre gratitude.
I would like to express our gratitude and admiration for those who took part in the operation. They knew the danger, but nevertheless they fought until the end of their mission.
Outside the apartment, there's still a heavy police presence. Roads around the area are sealed off, and the security forces remain on high alert. Several officers were injured during the raid and led away for medical treatment. A police dog was killed. But for people in and around Paris, it seems like there may be at least some good news today after so much pain.
A police line at the moment, there's probably a dozen police officers in front of me. I'm at a police line at the moment, there's probably a dozen police officers in front of me. When we tried to move a little bit further forward, they shone lasers at us, which are on the top of their rifles, telling us to go back to... just heard more shooting going on at the moment.
How far away do you think that is from where you're standing?
Probably about 300 metres away from where I am at the moment. Police looking fairly relaxed, but that's probably half a dozen, maybe a little bit more fire. I won't be a second.
Yeah, do we need to give you time to get away, actually?
No, we're absolutely fine. I'm just with one of my advisors. Charlie, what type of weaponry was that, do you think? Right, so some small explosions going on there. That might be more again. We're just going to leave this quiet for a minute and listen. I'm being told that sounds like a long weapon, a big gun. I've just been told that sounds like from somebody who actually knows about these things. In terms of the weaponry that's being used at the moment. It's gone quite... What's interesting is the police who are guarding this line, keeping us back, don't seem that perturbed by what's going on at the moment.
Like fireworks for over an hour. This morning at around 4:30, and then obviously there was the explosion about 1 hour, 2 hours ago of the suicide vest. And then I've obviously been hearing at the early stage a lot of people were trying to get out on the streets and to watch it, which obviously police were shouting at them to try to ask them to get back to their flats. Basically, I am situated less than 1 minute from... I can see the cathedral from my flat, and I can also see the corner of Rue Gabriel Paris on the other side. So I'm actually in the middle. This is I'm in the middle of the bit with police block. During the beginning of the attack, I also did a periscope, so it is all streamed. Obviously, for my safety, I only left my phone there, so people can see it at Benson Hoy at Twitter, BNSNHOI, and now I can do a slow panorama of the scene. Obviously, ensuring my safety, I would do a slow panorama. So that side is the cathedral, slowly, and this is the main street. And what we are looking at now is a lot of army presence which are slowly moving away, but there is still many people sort of around the scenes.
Yes, I mean we can see. Yes, we can. Thank you, Benson. We can clearly see armed response units, and it looks like fire engines, and also police motorbikes as well.
New pictures are emerging by the hour of the moment that police raid started. You can hear armed police shouting to people to stay away, and then the first gunshots can be heard.
Paris, Wednesday morning.
In the darkened streets of this northern suburb, France is fighting for its way of life. The target, the country's most wanted man, Abdelhamid Abaoud, alleged mastermind of Friday's attacks. If ever a raid was personal, this was it. Residents were pulled from buildings in their nightclothes, the scale and threat of this operation quickly becoming clear.
I tried to protect myself, holding my baby tight. We saw bullets, lights, there were explosions. We felt the building shake. There were guys upstairs screaming, shoot, shoot.
By first light, as special forces carried out their assault, an explosion. A woman inside the building had detonated her suicide vest.
I heard gunfire. It went crazy. Gunshots, explosions, here, there, everywhere. It went on for ages. People were running everywhere.
I didn't see anything terrible, but I heard lots of gunshots. Snipers were firing, taking careful aim. There were machine gun volleys, a huge wave of bullets. There was damage all around us.
By 8 o'clock, with 2 suspects dead in the target building, reinforcements arrived. Dozens of soldiers brought in to help secure the streets. Nerves taut at every corner, guns drawn. This dawn raid has turned into a major operation. Truckloads of soldiers have been brought in after hours of gunfire and explosions. It's a sign of just how dangerous the hunt is for France's most wanted men. Without warning, riot police break through their cordon, fanning out through the surrounding streets. It's nothing. It's over quickly, but the jitteriness remains. Out of sight in an empty courtyard, the rewards of this assault are quietly being reeled in. In all, 7 people were arrested this morning, including this man. Handcuffed, under heavy guard, his face uncovered. Police have been hunting one of Friday's attackers. Is this him? In his wake, clutching their children, terrified, the neighbours emerge. Their nightmare almost over. Behind them at the building entrance, forces begin to pile in. This operation had a price. Several officers left injured. Above them, residents slowly absorbed the news. The attacks here last week targeted everyone, but just as hard for France to stomach is that anyone could be an attacker too.
Police are now removing their bulletproof jackets, which gives you an idea of how much the situation has calmed down. We were one of the first journalists to arrive here at the scene just before sunrise. We heard 3 or 4 explosions, followed by a succession of heavy gunfire, and then silence. So the riot police have moved away from this location, and as you can see, the fire engines are now coming in. Between 15,000 and 20,000 people within this area were asked to stay inside their homes. We've just been speaking to a couple of the residents who are hanging out of the windows. They say everything is okay. Just behind here is the apartment where the 7 suspects were hiding. If you can just make out in the distance there, that's where the police had sealed off the road, and behind those barricades, all of the SAT trucks, the media crews who have been watching and waiting for news of what happened inside that apartment and who those suspects are.